Dangal, greetings everyone. Good morning. So for today, I prepared this pre-record lecture. So I hope you will watch this during our time. So again, good morning po. And so for this week's lesson, we will focus on the continuation of our previous lesson, which talks about the formation of the universe, our galaxies, the stars, and most especially the formation of our dearest planet, Earth. So, here's our rule first. Ayan, I already given that. So, this is our learning competencies for today's lesson, which is the following. Recognize the uniqueness of Earth, being the only planet in the solar system with the properties necessary to support life. Explain Earth consists of four subsystems across the whole boundaries, matters, and flow. Ayan. So, as you can see in our slide, you're going to observe the illustration of interactions, how these four subsystems interact with each other. It includes the geosphere, the biosphere, the hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. So, let's discuss it further, more detailed later on. The Earth. Ayan. That is our planet. As you can see, it's very beautiful, right? So, Earth, it is the third planet from the Sun and about 150 million kilometers. So, again nga, the solar system is planet Earth rather is makikita sa solar system natin. And pangatlo siya sa position when it comes to position nearest to the sun. And a day, the Earth also has a day with its 24 hours. Isang araw sa atin is 24 hours. And Earth makes complete orbit around the Sun, year Earth time in about 365 days. So, dito, sabi nga natin, we have the two terms na mentioned before. We have the rotation and revolution. Pag sinabi natin rotation, is the movement of our planet Earth in its own axis that cause the day and night. And pag sinabi naman natin revolution, the movement of our planet relative to our planet that forms an our yearly season, which is total of 365 days. So, ayun lang dapat nyo pong tandaan dyan. So, Earth. So, we have the Earth's subsystems and energy flow. So, ayan. So, before, na-mention ko naman dito yung ibang information. Dapat yung tandaan dito, it has a single moon. Isang moon lang yung makikita sa Earth, which is yung tinatawag nating, anong pangalan ni moon? It's the moon Luna. And moon is also considered as a natural satellite. Tandaan nyo yun ha. Moon is considered as the natural satellite. And it has no rings. Yes, isa po yun sa characteristic that most of the planets, which is most of the planets in terrestrial planet, including Earth, na wala pong rings. Earth axis of rotate tilted about 23.4 degrees with respect to plane Earth's orbit around the Sun, which causes our yearly cycle of season. Earth is composed of four main layers. Ayan, sinasabi dyan is that our planet is not perfectly circle. But sinasabi dito is that yung Earth, yung planet natin, has a tilt, which is 23.4 degrees. So, as a review, sabi nga natin, the formation of the planet Earth is not instant. It takes so much steps kung paano na form. And if we trace back in the history, we will find out na nagkaroon ng tilt. It is just because of the bombardment or the collision of our planet Earth during formation with other protoplanet na tinatawag nating protoplanet Theia. Again, nagkaroon ng tilt, which is 23.4 degrees because of the collision of the protoplanet Theia and our planet Earth. Isa yun sa reason bakit nagkaroon ng tilt, and another reason because of that collision na buo or na-form yung pinaka natatangi at nag-iisa nating satellite, which is si Luna or our moon. Again ha, na-form, nagkaroon ng tilt, at the same time, nagkaroon, na-form si moon. Okay? So, next, we have the 4 layers of Earth. So, I already mentioned it before also, that we have 4 sub-layers of our planet. We have the inner core, outer core, the mantle, and the crust. So, first we have the inner core. It is a solid sphere made up of iron and nickel metal, about 1.2 kilometer in radius. The temperature is high as 5,400 degrees Celsius. So, ayan, ganun po siya kainit. Typically, siya yung pinaka-area ng region. Layers ng Earth natin yung mainit typically. Then, we have the outer core. The surroundings inner core, this layer is about 1 meter thick, made up of iron and fluids. So, ayan, kung ikukumpara natin, si inner core is a solid. While si outer core, same components, it is basically made up of iron and nickel, but this time, it is fluid form. And less yung temperature na ini-exhibit ni outer core. Pero mainit pa rin siya kung ikukumpara kay inner core. Next, we have the mantle. Itong tatandaan nyo kay mantle. Si mantle yung pinaka-thickest layer sa lahat. Pinaka-makapal na layer ng Earth. And it is a viscous mixture of molten rock, about 2,900 kilometers thick, and has consistency of a caramel. Next, we have also the crust. The outermost layer goes above 30 kilometers deep, average on land. At the bottom of the ocean, and crust is the thinner and extended about 5 kilometers from seafloor on the top of the mantle. So, typically, we are in the top of sa 4 na layers na yan, dito tayo makikita, dito tayo nakatira sa bandang crust. Kasi siya yung pinakamanipis and above the ground. Ayan. So, next we have ayan, nagbaliktad na. So, next we have the 4 Earth subsystems. So, aside dun sa mga layers of Earth, meron tayong 4 Earth subsystem. Unahin na muna natin si atmosphere. Atmosphere is the perfect balance to breathe and live. Protect us from the incoming meteoroid, most of which break up surface in our atmosphere before they can strike. So, typically, si atmosphere, siya yung pinaka-extension ng planet natin. Kung baga, siya yung may madaming function. Ayan. Si atmosphere, yung atmosphere natin is basically made up of these major elements. We have the nitrogen, the most abundant element. Tandaan nyo na ha. Pag nagtanong ako sa quiz natin, what is the most abundant element in our atmosphere? Yung sasagot, nitrogen. Then, we have the oxygen. Ito si oxygen, second lang siya sa pinaka-abundant sa atmosphere natin. Pero, take note to ha, kung si oxygen second lang siya sa atmosphere, sa katawan nating mga tao, si oxygen yung pinaka-most abundant sa lahat. Tandaan ha. Third, we have also the 1% gases such as the argon, krypton, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, neon, and the helium. So, let's take a look with the sub-layers of the atmosphere. O, tatandaan, maglagay tayo ng mnemonics para matandaan natin. TSM, TE. TSM, TE. Ayan yung abbreviation natin para mas mabilis yung tandaan. T for the troposphere, S for the stratosphere, M for the mesosphere, another T for thermosphere, and E for exosphere. So, isa-isahin natin. Unahin muna natin si troposphere. Again, si troposphere, ito yung pinakaunang layer coming from the ground, coming from the crust. Ito yung pinakaunang layer ng atmosphere na makikita natin. Ang tatandaan nyo ng mga event dito is that dito nangyayari lahat or the majority of the climate or yung mga weather na ramdaman natin, init, lamig, dito yan sa troposphere. Ayan. And another thing, our hot air balloon. Yung hot air balloon natin is hanggang dito lang din. And our airplanes, basically, hanggang dito lang din po sa troposphere, sa may upper troposphere. But meron tayong mga jet or often some upper airplanes na nare-reach out yung pinaka lower boundary of the stratosphere. Pero mostly talaga most of the plane is nasa troposphere lang po. Okay, tatandaan yan ha. Next, we have the stratosphere. Sa stratosphere naman, it is the second layer. And yung pinaka dapat yung tandaan lang dito makikita yung pinaka bound or the barrier, the important barrier na helpful sa atin, which is the ozone layer. Si ozone layer is basically siya yung nagbablock, siya yung nag-shield up shield up tayo because of the extreme radiation or yung init na tatanggap natin sa araw. So typically kung mabubutas si ozone layer, kaya kung nabalitaan nyo man in the past na nabutas si ozone layer, naramdaman natin yung extreme na init. So sabi nga naman, since sabi ng mga scientists natin that it continuously healing, ituloy-tuloy po yung pagbalik sa normal, even though at least nagsa-slow down pa rin kasi nga mainit pa rin yung earth, pero at least medyo nag-o-okay na daw po yung ozone layer natin. The main function of ozone layer is nalilesen niya again, or it acts as the barrier against the solar, against the nire-release na init ng sun natin. Yan, tatandaan niya lang dyan, the ozone layer. Next, we have the mesosphere. Si mesosphere, it is a region, which is, ito yung pinakagitna na layer. So, yung important event or special dito kasi mesosphere. Si mesosphere, dito nadidissolve yung mga meteors. Ayan, kung nakikita nyo man, si meteor. Bakit kailangang ma-dissolve? Typically, kung wala itong layers na to si mesosphere, hindi mag-dissolve yung mga meteors which can cause harmful sa ating mga organism na nakatira dito sa troposphere na area. So, dito kasi, may tatlo kayong terms pala na dapat munang tandaan para maintindihan yung concept ni meteor. Si meteor, kasi kadalasan gamit siya, makikita, is defined as the streak of light. Sabi daw, pag nag-appear siya, it's a burst of light. Yun lang yung definition. Pero may tatlong terms na dapat yung tandaan. We have the meteoroid. Ayan ha. Meteoroid, meteor, and meteorite. Ayan. Meteoroid, meteor, and meteorite. So, ano po yung pinagkaiba ng tatlo? So, di ba sabi natin, outside our planet, we can see a rocky object. Tama ba? Which is tinatawag nating asteroid. Tama? And then, the smaller object or the mas maliit na version ni asteroid is tinatawag nating meteoroid. Meteoroid. Again, pag nasa space pa yung rocky object, is tinatawag nating meteoroid. Kung ikukumpara natin siya kay asteroid when it comes to size, medyo maliit siya literally kasi nga nabuo lang si meteoroid due to the collision of the asteroids. Ayan, nabuo lang si meteoroid because of the collision of the asteroids. Pero sabi nga natin that this rocky object meteoroid is not steady. Paikot-ikot lang siya and there's time na papasok siya sa Earth. Once this rocky object enters the Earth, tinatawag na natin siyang meteor. Meteor na po yung tawag natin sa kanya. So sir, bakit po siya nagkakaroon ng light once it enter? It is just because pag nakapasok na si meteor is kinokontra niya mismo yung collision. Nagko-collide siya sa atmosphere mismo, sa mga elements na makikita sa atmosphere. That's why it can cause a heat up. Kaya siya nagpa-brighten up dahil sa components ng hangin natin. So, once it continuously drop, ayun, tuloy-tuloy siya nag-drop coming from the space sa Earth, unti-unti siyang natutunaw. And most of the time, is dito siya natutunaw sa mesosphere. Diyan siya natutunaw. Pero, hindi po lahat ng meteor is basically natutunaw sa mesosphere. Majority lang ha. There are times na yung mga rocky object or yung mga meteor na to is darating talaga siya sa Earth or dito sa troposphere natin makakaabot. Pero in a single or mas maliit siya compared to the meteor, which is tinatawag na nating meteorite. O, ayan, tatandaan ha. Pag nasa space pa, meteoroid. Pag nakapasok na sa Earth, tinatawag nating meteor. Pag naka-landing na siya sa lupa or nakapato na siya sa lupa, tinatawag nating meteorite. Tandaan yan ha. Meteoroid, meteor, and meteorite. So, okay. Next, we have the thermosphere. Si thermosphere, madaming event na dapat yung tandaan dito. And one of it is the International Space Station. Yes po, dito makikita yung International Space Station na natin. Wherein, sabi nga natin, International Space Station is dyan naka-standby yung mga astronaut or yung mga scientist natin. Kung baga yung pinaka-main na observation area lang ng mga astronaut natin. Dyan nagsasend ng information, ina-analyze, wherein dyan din nakikita yung mga probes, yung mga satellites na pinapadala pa natin into outside of our planet. Another thing, we have also the Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis. Pero para mas mabilis yung tatandaan lang, it is the Northern Light and the Southern Light. Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis. The Northern Light and the Southern Light. So sir, bakit po nagkakaroon ng Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis? The main reason is that Aurora Borealis is basically a light, a streak of light. Bakit nagkakaroon ng light? The reason is that it's just because of the collision of the subatomic particles na makikita natin sa atmosphere natin. Sabi ko nga kanina that our atmosphere is binubuo ng mga elements. Tama ba? Sina nitrogen, oxygen. And that nitrogen are the elements. Tama? And every elements is binubuo ng atom. Si atom is binubuo pa siya ng mga subatomic level. Sina proton, sina electron, and si neutron. So, anong ginagawa ni proton, electron, and neutron? Dito, nagkakaroon sila ng collision. Nagbo-bombard sila with each other. So, once they bombard or compact with each other, it can cause an instant streak of light, which is tinatawag nating Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis. So, ano pinagkaiba ng dalawa? Si Aurora Borealis, the northern light, basically nangyayari lang siya sa northern hemisphere, and Aurora Australis pag sa southern hemisphere. So, ayun ang tatandaan nyo lang dito. So, next we have the exosphere. This one is the said to be the most outer layer of our atmosphere, and dito makikita yung mga spaceship or which is nanggaling minsan sa International Space Station natin in order to circle the planet. Kumbaga dito natin ino-observe, dito makikita yung mga satellites, extra satellites wherein ginagamit natin pang send ng information para makapag-discover pa tayo ng madami. And itong tatandaan nyo, kung napansin nyo man sa quiz, dinala ko na or sinama ko na si telescope. Tama? Si Hubble telescope and si James Webb telescope. Space telescope. Actually, yung mga na-mention ko na yun, na sa satellites or and the telescope, is dito din sila nagsasend ng information near this exosphere and thermosphere, especially in the International Space Station, wherein ina-analyze and sinesend sa atin. So, ayun po, dapat yung tandaan. So, pag tinanong tayo by the future, ano yung pinaka-latest na satellite, sasagot nyo lang James Webb Space telescope rather, is sasagot natin, James Webb Space Telescope. James Webb Space Telescope. Okay po? So, next we have, tapos na tayo sa atmosphere, we have the lithosphere. Lithosphere, which includes the crust, both continental, oceanic. The upper mantle is divided into huge plates that are constantly moving. Each global ocean, which covers nearly 70% of the planet's surface and has average depth about 4 kilometers and contains 87% of Earth water. So, okay. Tatandaan nyo lang dito, hindi po yung term na land lang ha. Kasi kung baga, palatandaan ko lang sa inyo, pero tatandaan yung term ni lithosphere. Si lithosphere, ito yung tandaan nyo dito. Si lithosphere is the tinatawag nating the crust portion of our planet and the upper portion of the mantle. O, tandaan. The crust and the upper portion of the mantle. Yun yung tinatawag nating lithosphere. And lithosphere, it can be continental or oceanic. Ayan, tandaan yan ha, pag tinanong ko kayo kung ano yung dalawang types of lithosphere, we have the continental and the oceanic. So, sa pangalan pa lang na continental, basically, we're dealing with the continents. Tama? So, oceanic, obviously, the land or the area na makikita from the deep of our ocean. So, we have also the term plates. Ayan, tatandaan nyo yan. Plates. Sabi is that this lithosphere is basically made up called plates. Itong plates na to, ito yung mga gumagalaw mismo. In your lower grade siguro, tandaan nyo man, itong plates para siyang literal na pinggan or a portion of a rock of the lithosphere na constantly na gumagalaw. Wherein, pag naggalaw yung mga plates na to, it can cause changes or formation of soils or any portion na makikita sa crust, such as the formation of the mountains, trenches, volcanoes, and we'll further discuss later on. So, ito po. We have the plate tectonics theory. Ayan. So, ito yung theory na nagpropose bakit gumagalaw yung Earth. So, basically, kung nakikita mo yun sa picture, ayan. Ayan, nakikita po. So, we have the three types of plate tectonics. We have the divergent, convergent, and the transport boundaries. So, ayan. Unahin muna natin si divergent. From the word itself, diverge. Ibig sabihin, yung dalawang plate is naghihiwalay, nagsisplit up. Pag nag-split up or naghiwalay yung dalawang plate na yan, it can cause or create a ridges. Yung mga ridges mismo. Or, basically, it can cause a volcano. Paano? So, once na mangyari siya sa continental mismo, nag-move yung dalawang plate. Kasi, nakikita nyo to, ayan. Ito nga yung si mantle. Ayan, si mantle. So, once na nag-move itong plate na to, basically, may ini-exert kasi na pressure itong si mantle natin. Ayan, may ini-exert siyang pressure. So, once na nag-move itong si lithosphere, it can cause a volcano. And basically, an active volcano. Okay po, tatandaan yan ha. Divergent, mostly dyan nanggagaling, nagpo-form yung mga volcanoes. Next, we have also the convergent plate boundary. From the word itself, converge. Ibig sabihin, nagbabanggaan yung dalawang plate. Dito naman mapo-form mostly yung mga trenches. So, as you can see here, pag nag-collide sila in each other, the tendency is that nagmamatch yung pressure na ini-exert nila. So, the tendency is that the other plates will diverge or bababa mismo, and that can cause a trenches. Mostly of the trenches is makikita sa oceanic mismo, or yung pinakasikat na trench is the Mariana Trench. Siguro kung aware kayo sa Mariana Trench, siya is said to be by our scientists the most deepest portion of our ocean, which is the Mariana Trench. And we have also the transport plate boundary. Kung si diverge pahiwalay, si converge banggaan, si transport naman is yung pagkikiskisan ng mga plates mismo. And ano yung mapo-form niya? Basically, it can create a fault. Yung fault or yung mismong bitak sa lupa. Kung sa lupa man siya mangyayari sa tawag dito, continental mangyayari or bitak sa lupa. And this fault is very dangerous. Remember? Kasi pag continuously gumagalaw yung mga plates na to, it can later cause a more dangerous things. It could be an earthquake, seismic waves, or madami pang mga mangyayaring event. O, tatandaan yan ha. Tandaan yung tatlo na yan. Next tayo. Ayan. Ito yung mga events na possible na mangyari because of the movement of the plates. First, we have the earthquake. So, the tendency na dapat yung tandaan, since nakikita siya sa lithosphere, basically, affected tayo. Tama po ba? Si earthquake, among the other disasters na naranasan natin, again sa mga typhoon, tawag dito, baha, flood, si earthquake is unpredictable. Ito yung pinaka-unique sa kanya. Wala pang specific na device which is makapag-detect ng earthquake. Pero meron tayong may mga devices to measure the effect or the impact of the earthquake. So, ito yung mga dapat yung tandaan sa earthquake. But the earthquake is obviously defined as the movement of the land or the plates. Yun lang yung definition ng earthquake. So, we have the focus. Ayan. Ayun, nakita nyo si fault. Si fault, which is, sabi ko nga kanina, ito yung cause pala with the transverse boundary, which is can cause a earthquake. Sabi ko nga, the tendency, so sobrang dangerous niya. And the focus, si focus, ito yung pinanggalingan ng movement mismo sa pinaka-lower portion, sa inner portion ng earth. And ang tawag naman sa point na kung saan makikita sa upper surface natin siya tawag na epicenter. Again, pag sa surface yung tawag epicenter, pag yung pinanggalingan talaga is tinatawag nating focus. Ayan. Tandaan yun ha. We have the device, mostly na ginagamit, we have the seismograph and Richter scale, yung mga mini-measure natin. So, next, we have the volcanoes. So, si volcanoes, sabi ko nga kanina, paano siya na-form? Because of what? What type of plate tectonics? It is mostly with the divergent plate movement. Si volcanoes is na-form siya. Sabi ko natin kanina, ayan, balikan natin sa picture. Ayan. So, since nasa portion tayo ni upper portion tayo ni lithosphere, sabi nga natin, nasa baba natin si mantle, which is nagko-conduct ng heat. So, once na nag-diverge mismo, nag-exert kasi ng pressure itong si mantle. So, that's why it can cause a volcanoes which is extremely dangerous. Kung baga, itong si volcanoes, may portion siya talaga nagko-connect dun sa mantle, which is extremely hot. So, that's why yung nagkakaroon siya ng sudden burst minsan. Pag nagkaroon kasi ng changes doon sa mantle portion sa loob ng Earth, it can cause a instability mismo sa volcanoes and it can result in eruption. So, as you can see sa picture, isa ito sa pinaka active volcano sa buong mundo. Dito sa atin, lately, siguro nabalitaan nyo kung mismo, yung pinaka-history, pinaka-na-active volcano is the Mount Pinatubo. And for lately, si Taal, ayan, si Taal, active volcanoes din siya. And even the Perpicone volcanoes, the mount na yun, is an active volcano. Pero hindi siya sobrang active pa right now. Pero tandaan nyo yung kay Taal and si Pinatubo, parang sila yung pinaka-notable dito sa Philippines. Mostly na mga countries pala na active yung volcanoes is near the Pacific Ring of Fire. Mostly in ito yung region. Ayan, kita nyo to. Ay yung red. 1, 2, 3. Ito Philippines. Nakita nyo sa Philippines. This one. Ayan, wait lang. Nawala siya. Ayan, so let's continue. So, ayan, nakita nyo na po, ito yung sinasabi ko na Pacific Ring of Fire. Ayan ang kulay orange. So, anong special dyan sa Pacific Ring of Fire? Yung region na yan is, dyan makikita mostly yung mga mountains. Yung mga volcanoes, yung mga active volcanoes. So, near around especially in Pacific area. Alam naman natin na sa Southeast Asia tayo, near the Pacific Ocean. So extremely obviously sa Philippines, meron tayong mga active volcanoes. So yung mga country natin, South Asian countries along with the Vietnam, Austria, Thailand, may mga active volcanoes din sila. Ayan yung nakita yung pag madaming mga dots, ibig sabihin na red, ibig sabihin yan, diyan yung mga active volcanoes mismo, which is extremely dangerous. Okay po. So, next we have the formation of major landforms. So, dito, hindi lang basta volcanoes yung mapo-form. Minsan, once the movement of the boundaries, it could form a land formations. It could create another landform, hindi lang volcanoes, hindi lang mga trenches. So, we have also the mountains, ayan yung nasabi natin, the volcano, the valley, the plain, the canyon, the island, river, ocean, lake, hill, waterfall, bay, plateau, cave, peninsula, and glaciers. Those are the major landforms. So, dito, sabi ko nga, di ba't meron tayong types of lithosphere, the oceanic and the continental. Most of the time, dito mga mountains, volcanoes, kung sa oceanic as a continental sila mag-form, it could create a mountains, or a volcanoes, or mga valleys, or plains. So, islands, basically si islands is a combination near the oceanic and continental. Kaya kagaya natin sa Philippines, tayo, kung iti-trace ba kasi natin yung history ng formation ng mga continents natin ngayon na 7, we have the Asia, Europe, yung mga 7 continents natin, iti-trace back natin sa history, nanggaling lang tayo sa single supercontinent na tinatawag nating Pangaea. O, tandaan ha, supercontinent Pangaea. Where, because of the movement of plates, ayan, nahati-hati, continuously with the help of through time, is nagdi-divide yung supercontinent ni Pangaea na yun, wherein, right now, when meron tayong 7 continents. And, because of that movement, na-form yung mga islands, just like the Philippines, we are an island. An archipelago also. So next we have the river. Ayan, yung mga mostly combination near the oceanic and the continental. The ocean, ayan. Si ocean, basically, from the history pa lang na-form na talaga siya because of those movements. The lakes, the hill, the waterfalls, the bay. Diba minsan, ang perfect na mga formation because of that movement. Very pleasant sa mata. Tama po ba? Pero yung iba is very dangerous naman. Diba? Ang ganda. So, siguro mapapaisip naman ako kung anong papagawa ko sa inyo. Very colorful. I want to see kung gaano kayo ka-artistic when it comes to appreciating the landforms. Ayun, siningit na naman. So, anyways, let's continue. Na-discuss na natin si atmosphere and si lithosphere. We have the hydrosphere, which is basically about the water. It includes water that is on the surface of the planet, underground in the air. A planet's hydrosphere can be liquid, vapor, or ice. Under Earth's liquid, water exists on the surface in the form of ocean, lake, rivers. It also exists below the ground or as a groundwater as well as the aquifer. So tayo, dito sa Earth, meron tayong different forms of water. Tap water, yung mga tubig na makikita natin na fresh water sa lake, mga fresh water yan. Sa ilog, fresh water din yan. Meron din tayong mga ocean water, basically a combination of mga maaalat, mga salty, mga fresh water. Meron din tayong mga groundwater, yung water na makikita natin sa ground, yun yung mga ginagamit, ina-absorb ng mga plants. And meron din tayong reserve water of the groundwater, yung mga top water. Madami tayong mga forms of water. Lahat yan, and even the vapor, or yung tubig na makikita natin sa atmosphere, hindi pa na makikita, nasa atmosphere, is considered, belong siya sa hydrosphere. And even the ice caps, or yung mga glaciers na makikita natin sa northern and southern areas, included siya sa hydrosphere. Okay. So, dito, papasok yung concept natin about the water cycle. Yung term na water cycle, in elementary, gamit na siya, water cycle. Pero, para more advanced or mas medyo maganda lang pakinggan, pwede natin tawagang water cycle as hydrocycle. Tama ba? Hydrocycle, or the movement of the water. Pa-search na lang ako, pero actually it's hydrocycle or the water cycle. Pinaganda ko lang, pero ganun pa rin siya. Or the cycle of water in Earth. So, dito, papasok yung mga processes kung paano nagmo-move mismo yung water. Example, we are from the ocean, di ba typical ni ocean, nagkakaroon tayo ng evaporation, or yung combination, or yung pagta-transport, or pag-change ni liquid into a vapor or into a gas. Tama, a vapor or a gas. Once na pumunta na siya dito sa clouds, ayan kung nakikita niyo yan. Ito na siyang process, evaporation. Once na pumunta na siya dito sa clouds, tinatawag natin siyang condensation. Pag it turns into gas, again, sabi natin, evaporation pala, liquid to gas. Tama? From gas to solid, tinatawag din condensation. So, magmo-move na tayo dito. Once na mapuno na itong clouds na to, or yung mga vapors na sa clouds, magkakaroon na tayo ng precipitations. Precipitation, hindi siya typical na ulan. Yes, isa sa form mismo of precipitation, yung rain. Pero in some areas, it could be another form of precipitation. It could be the form of snow, hail, sleet, ayan, mga other forms mismo, depende sa area. Most of the time, kung magkakaroon mo ng precipitation sa mga malalamig na area, it could be a snow, hail, kasi nga, nakadepende din sa environment mismo. Kung malamig yung area, typically, maapektuhan yung precipitated portion. So, just like here, in our area, dito sa Pilipinas, ulan lang yung nararamdaman natin, malabong magkaroon ng snow. Kasi nga, mainit tayo tropical. So, hindi talaga possible magkaroon ng snow. Kung nasa mga Atlantic or sa mga Alaska kayo, ayun, for sure, possible magkaroon ng snow. Kasi nga, malalamig yung mga surroundings doon. And, you have also the infiltration, some of the water pupunta sa ground. Paulit-ulit lang, kaya nga cycle. Ayan, so fresh water. And take note pala, ito yung dapat yung tandaan. Sa buong tubig or buong water natin dito sa Earth, most of the water is oceanic. Maalat. Maalat po yung tubig meron tayo dito. That's why sobrang konti lang ng mga lake and rivers which is considered natin as fresh water na possible na pagkunan natin ng inumin. So, kaya nga nagkakaroon ng mga scarcity or pagkakulangan ng tubig. Kasi nga, kung ininom natin sobrang unti out of 100% of water, siguro mga 5% lang nang galing sa fresh water. Yes po, ganun po kaunti yung fresh water na kaya lang inumin natin. So, bakit po, tawag dito, fresh water lang yung pwedeng inumin? Try to think this one. Once na uminom kayo ng oceanic or yung mga tubig sa dagat, di ba? Ang mangyayari, mabilis kayong ma-dehydrate. Bakit mabilis ma-dehydrate pag nag-inom kayo ng tubig dagat? It's just because yung katawan natin is basically, may binubuong mga elements. Yung cell natin sa katawan or yung mga the building blocks of life or the cell is pag napuno ng salt or Na or sodium is mangyayari sa cell is magbo-burst. Magsiswell or tawag dito, liliit or magsishrink. Magsishrink or liliit mismo yung cell. So once na liliit yung cell sa katawan natin, it can cause a dehydrations. So, kung dadami yon, kaya hindi pa, yung reason bakit hindi nyo pwedeng inumin yung mga salt waters. Pwede nating inumin yung salt water pag itong salt water na to is ginagamitan natin ng filtration or yung mga separation techniques. Kung baga, pinakuluan natin, diba? Pag pinakuluan natin, ang mangyayari, mag-evaporate yung pure water, yung mga maalat, yung mga asin, basically, nakuha natin, yan yung hiwalay natin. Hindi pwede kasi, isang basong salt water, kasi pag pinakuluan natin yan, mas madaming asin kaysa sa tubig, kaya sobrang, it's a no talaga, na mag-inom ka ng ocean water or a salt water. So, sobrang dangerous siya mismo. Hindi siya suggested. Okay? So, next, we have, na dapat yung tandaan, na very timely, which is the tide concept. So, ano naman connect niya, sir, doon sa water? Paano yung connect? So, ayan. Sa Earth, nakikita niyo sa Earth, itong blue na to, ayan, nag-surround the spring tide, the neap tide. This one is the movement of water. Yes po, pag narinig niyo sa tide, automatic connected siya sa tubig. Sir, bakit po nagkakaroon ng neap tide and spring tide? The reason is that, as you can see, we have the moon. Si moon kasi, nag-hold din siya ng gravity. And once na malapit si moon, or sabi nga natin, diba, si moon i-evolve, nag-orbit din siya sa planet natin. Umiikot siya dito, dire-diretso. Ayan. Kung nakikita niyo yan, 4 quarters lang yan. Pero actually, meron tayong 8 quarters of the moon. Dito sa picture is 4 lang. Pero may tayong 8 dito. Yan. Meron pa dito yung mga waxy glacier. Pero sa calendar, pag nakita nyo man, 4 lang. Tama po ba? So, dito, anong effect ni moon sa water natin sa Earth? Dito kasi, sabi nga natin, may gravity si moon. So, ang ginagawa ni moon is nahatak niya mismo, kumbaga, parang may na-magnetize niya yung mga water sa Earth. So, once na malapit siya dito, the more na gravity yung hold niya, that can cause a spring tide and the neap tide. Ayan, the spring tide and the neap tide, or the high tide and the low tide. Most of the time, pag close siya dito sa Earth, it can cause increase water. Ito tinatawag nating high tide. So, dito, neap tide, it could be a low tide. So, area na yun, sa portion na to. Ito yung dapat yung tandaan. Hindi lang pala basta-basta moon yung humahatak sa atin. Even the sun. Even the sun also humahatak or nagpupull ng water natin. Pero yung major talaga na nag-hold ng mahatak ng bodies of water natin this Earth is the moon. Kung baga, may contribution lang si sun ng sobrang onte. Pero moon talaga yung dapat yung tandaan. Okay po, di ba? Very, ayan, ito po siya, di ba? Ang ganda niya tignan, pero so dito, dyan lang muna natin tawag dito, i-cover. Kung gusto nyo man na further na matutunan or study, is try to research na lang sa YouTube kung tawag dito, interesting kayo na matutunan pa about this concept, the high tide and low tide. Ako talaga actually before na encounter ko to, sobrang na-fascinate ako sa topic na to kasi sobrang may something siya sa akin. Daming chika pero ang haba ng video ko na. So next we have the biosphere. This one is the last major Earth subsystem. Pero later, may sasabihin naman ako sa inyo na additional sphere. So, biosphere, it is made up of parts of Earth where life exists. All ecosystems, the biosphere extends from all the deepest Earth systems of trees to the dark environment of the ocean trench to loss of rain, forest, high mountain tops, and the transition zone like this one, for ocean and the terrestrial ecosystem. So, dito from the word itself, biosphere, basically, dito tayo sa sphere na nakatira, dito possible mag-exist yung mga may buhay. Yung mga puno, yung mga tayong mga tao, lahat ng may buhay sa area na to is found in the biosphere. Next, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Meron tayong mga additional sphere na dapat tandaan. Pero aside sa 4 major biosphere, we have the cryosphere. Ayan. Cryosphere. Si cryosphere mostly originated siya sa idea ni hydrosphere. Pero here, we are talking about the areas, cold areas. How it affects the planet. We have the snow, sea oceans, the frozen grounds, rivers, and glaciers. So, basta related sa yellow, tinatawag nating cryosphere. So, ano po yung connect niya, sir? So, alam naman natin that yung init na nire-release ni sun is hindi equal sa lahat ng area. Dito, di ba tayo sa Pilipinas, we are near the equator. We accept enough sunlight. Pero kung compare natin siya into upper areas, mostly sa mga Alaska or the northern and southern areas, they accept less sunlight. So, the tendency, since less in sunlight, konti yung init na maramdaman na ang possibilities, doon mapuform yung mga yellows. And due to climate change mismo or continuous global warming or patuloy na pag-init ng Earth, is unti-unting natutunaw itong mga glaciers na yan. So, ano po yung connect na, sir? Mismo. So, pag nag-init, typically, yung mga yellow na yan is matutunaw. Pag natunaw, tataas yung percentage ng water. Dadami yung amount ng water. And, pag tumaas yung tubig, mismo, there are tendencies, yung mga areas na hindi nakukover ng tubig is may possibilities na kaya nang i-cover. So, ibig sabihin, kung may mga areas na mababa, there are tendencies na kaya na siyang i-cover mismo ng ocean. Ganun po yung effect ni global warming. So, may mga areas kasi or mga countries tayo na mababa, so sobrang dangerous sa kanila pag patuloy na iinit ang mundo kasi matutunaw yung mga glaciers. And pag matunaw, tataas yung tubig, since mababa sila, maapektuhan. O, diba? Ganun ka-affected mismo pag patuloy yung global warming. So, ayan, may patalastas pa tayo. Dagdag ko lang ha, since I know hindi naman kayo masyado science, pero fan ng science, pero tandaan nyo, simpleng pagtapon lang ng mga basura or somehow be responsible sa lahat ng bagay is makakatulong na yan mismo para mabawas-bawasan yung global warming. May promotion na naman. So, okay. Next na po tayo. Tandaan, ano nga ulit yung mga major subsystem natin? We have the atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and the biosphere. And dagdag nyo na din po si cryosphere. Okay po? So, next we have the energy flow. Paano umiinit yung Earth? Paano nagtatransfer ng init? Dito siya i-under sa energy flow. Energy flow, it is Earth as a vast complex systems powered by two sources of energy. For the internal source, the decay of radioactive elements in the geosphere which generates geothermal heat. So, sinasabi natin mga internal heat. Kanina, basically, from the core, the mantle, lahat yun nag-generate ng heat. So, possible siya mapagkunan ng energy. Especially dun sa core natin, which is, basically, siya yung nagpa-fuel up mismo sa interplanet. Next, we have the external source. Ito yung dapat yung tandaan sa external source. The solar radiation receives from the sun. So, pag tandaan narinig yung external source, automatic sa isip dapat si sun. Si sun yung dahilan bakit madaming nabubuhay. Wherein, i-discuss ko bakit kung wala si sun, there tendency na hindi magkaroon ng buhay. Ganon ka-powerful si sun. Okay, dagdag pa natin. The vast majority of the energy in the Earth's subsystems comes from the sun, which come from variation in the two sources occur. These energy supplies are relatively constant and the power of all planets' environmental system. Indeed, energy both drives flow through environment systems and energy pathway may highly complex and difficult to identify. For instance, energy may take form of latent heat which is absorbed, release substances, change state, for example, between liquid and gaseous space. Okay, so dito, bibigyan ko lang kayo na dapat natandaan when it comes to law of conservation of energy. Pag sinabi natin law of conservation of energy, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Yung sinasabi sa law of conservation of energy, that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but instead, it could transform into another form only. So, paano po, sir? Example tayo ha. Yung kuryente nyo sa bahay, that is example of electrical energy. Si electrical energy na yan, pag tinitrace up natin, there are possibilities na nanggagaling siya sa mechanical energies. Kung baga, yung energy, gusto ko lang i-highlight dito, that energy is, walang na dinidestroy, hindi tayo pwedeng makagawa ng sariling energy. But we instead, harnessing energy to form and use it mismo. Kung baga, yung energy na nasasayang natin na sa atmosphere lang yan, kung gusto nating sa ground lang natin yan, kung gusto lang natin siya gamitin ulit, is kailangan na natin siya i-convert mismo, hindi natin siya kine-create. Okay? Tandaan natin yan ha. Yan dapat yung tandaan. Meron na tayong 3 forms of heat transfer. Yung energy kasi means most of the time is absolutely related with the heat mismo. Energy is transferred within between the environment system in a 3 ways. Meron tayong 3 ways. We have the radiation, convection, and the conduction. Na yung 3 lang yan ha. 3 ways of heat transfer. Okay, ulitin natin. The radiation, convection, and conduction. So, unahin muna natin si radiation. Radiation is the process which energy is transferred through space, typically in the form of electromagnetic wave. Si sun, typically, sabi natin, the center of our solar system creates a radiation. A source travels, nagbibigay siya ng heat in the form of radiation. So here, in the form of specifically in electromagnetic radiation. Kung tatandaan nyo man, yung electromagnetic spectrum, yung lower grades kayo, meron tayong mga radio wave, yung mga forms of wave, yung mga radio wave, infrared, visible light, UV, and gamma, yung mga forms of electromagnetic waves, wherein doon makikita natin si UV ray. Si UV ray is a radiation. So, kung baga, doon is nagta-travel yung radiation dito sa Earth to the form of waves. In the form of waves. So, ayan po, kaya nga electric fields, yung mga waves na yan. The waves of energy is called electromagnetic waves because they are oscillating electrical magnetic field. Scientists classify them by their frequency wavelength, goes high to low, and short of wavelength. So, ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina sa electromagnetic wave. Nakadepende siya when it comes to wavelength. Ayan. Kasi, ang dapat nyo lang tandaan na makikita sa electromagnetic wave, such as yung pinakauna doon, yung pinakamababa, sa radio wave, mas mahaba o malawak yung wavelength niya, wherein kumbaga yung energy na nare-release niya is lesser compared kay gamma ray. Si gamma ray kasi siya yung pinakamahaba, pinakamaiksing wavelength, pero when it comes to energy na nare-release niya, siya yung pinaka-harmful sa lahat. Kaya niya kasing mag-destroy or makasira ng mga cells sa body natin. So kaya nga pero may mga application naman yung kagaya ni gamma. Si gamma kasi ginagamit siya pang destroy ng mga cancer cells. Ang cancer cells sa katawan natin, kung may mga cancers man, kaya ang ginagamit sa pang treat sa mga cancers. Pero, ang negative lang doon, pag gamma kasi, is hindi lang yung mga dead cancer cells yung kanyang patayin, even the living cells. Kasunod nun is the X-ray. Ibig sabihin, sa X-ray sobrang dangerous din. Kaya nga, kung nagpapa-X-ray man kayo, kung na-try nyo magpa-X-ray, is that, suggest ng mga doctors nyo, dapat once a year, twice, once in a 2 year, mga ganun lang yung suggestion magpa-X-ray kayo. Kasi nga, sobrang ganun yung effect niya. When it comes to, when it comes to UV ray, or the ultraviolet ray, na nire-release ni sun, may effect din siya sa katawan natin. Paano? It can cause a burning, o pagkasunog ng skin natin. Kaya nga, most of the time, yung mga doctors natin, yung mga cosmetologists, yung mga tag-alaga sa skin, o skin cares, is nagsasuggest sila na magamit kayo ng mga sunblocks, ito mga sunblocks natin, hindi naman itong pataasan talaga ng mga SPF. Kasi meron tayong forms of UV na merong kinakategorize pa siya with the UVA, UVB, UVC, depende siya kung anong layers ng skin ang kayang abutin. Tapos itong mga sunblock natin, o mga sunscreen, di ba nakikita nyo mga SPF 50, SPF 30, ayan yung mga number, kung baga, batayan kung gaano yung effect niya. Pero kung mahilig mo kayo manood ng mga TikTok, sige si Doctor, not sure about, basta sa TikTok, madami kasi ako napapansin sa TikTok, nagsasuggest about academic things, such as yung pag nainitan ka sa katawan, hindi sila nagsasuggest na kailangan 100% SPF talaga. Bakit? Kahit nga mga 50, SPF 50, SPF 30, okay na yun. Kung baga, yung effect kasi ni SPF 30, around 98% or mga 95% protected na tayo sa sun. Pag SPF 50, mga 97.5, ganun lang kakaliit mismo. Hindi ibig sabihin dapat 100 lagi yung kailangan goal nyo. Hindi po ganun. So, ayan, medyo bumalik tayo sa skincare. So, anyways, next tayo. Dito, sabi natin, nagtatravel si radiation through electromagnetic wave. Paano naman si convection? Convection, it is a physical movement of a fluid such as water or air that contains energy in the form of heat. Convection does not occur in solid. This process is repeated when the material is heated and the rise of cools and sink. Okay. So, masyadong wordy. Ito lang tatandaan nyo. Pagdating sa convection, nagta-transfer yung heat in the form of isang state of matter, in the form of gas and liquid only. Again, pag convection, nagta-travel yung init in the form of gases and water. Convection. Yan po yun. Pag nainitan kayo, coming from, example, water. Si water, pinainitan mo yung water, pag naramdaman mo yun, convection yun. So, basically, nagta-travel yung heat with the use of water and gases. Next, ayan, another thing na application ng convection is the convection current or yung init na nare-release natin specifically in the mantle. Ayan. Ito kanina yung reason, sabi ko nga, nagkakaroon ng mountains. Volcanoes pala because of the pressure or the current na ini-exert mismo ni mantle. So here, itong convection current kasi may direction siya. Kung baga pa ganun yan, paikot-ikot. Ayan. In the place back in the history, ito convection current is unpredictable. May are times na yung convection current mag-change ng direction. So, the tendency, pag nagkaroon ng changes of convection current, is that maapektuhan din yung movement, magkakaroon din ng mga tawag dito, yung upper portion or the lithosphere. So, the tendency, pag nag-change siya ng convection current, magagalaw yung mga plates sa taas niya. So, delikado mismo. And take note, ito yung trivia na dapat yung tandaan. Ano yung effect ni convection current? Pag intinilis back natin sa history, sa formation of Earth, malaki yung naging dahilan. Si convection current, yung isa sa dahilan bakit nagkaroon tayo ng Great Dying. Ayan, tandaan ha, Great Dying. Or pagkamatay ng mga sinaunang organisms mismo because of the changes of convection current. Great Dying, yung pinakadahilan bakit yung mga ancestral organisms natin is namatay. So, bakit sir namatay? The reason is that because of the changes of convection current. So, pag nag-change yung convection current, the tendency, based on the history, is that itong mga volcanoes na to is nagsisabugan. Nagsisi-erupt mismo. So, pag nagsisabugan yung mga volcanoes na to, obviously, yung mga organisms na nakatira sa land and even in the water is maapektuhan. So, ganun siya delikado pag nagkaroon ng changes ng direction si convection current. Tandaan, the Great Dying. Great Dying kasi nga, siya yung pinaka na-record sa history. Bakit dahilan namatay yung mga kanuno-nunuan mismo. Iba pa yung history about sa dinosaur. Yung sa case ni dinosaur kasi during, Mesozoic era. During Mesozoic era, hindi, yung pagkawala ni dinosaur, hindi yun dahil sa convection current. Yung sa dinosaur is, yun yung pinaka-second lang. Second sa Great Dying. Ito yung pinaka-deadly sa convection current because of the Great Dying. Yung sa dinosaur, about naman yung sa asteroid. Yung kanina, na sinasabi ko, yung pagpasok ng, most of the time kasi na pumapasok sa Earth, yung mga meteoroid lang, yung mga small object when it comes to pag pumasok naging meteor, di ba? Sabi ko kanina. Pero, sa history kasi, may pumasok na sobrang laki, literal na sobrang laking asteroid. Asteroid talaga yung pumasok sa Earth. Dahil doon, hindi siya kayang tunawin, hindi siya kayang ma-dissolve ni mesosphere. Si mesosphere, nasabi natin, tendency sa sobrang laki niya, nakaabot siya sa surface. And dahil pagdating niya sa surface, yung asteroid na yun, nagkaroon siya ng shockwave. It creates extreme wave. So, ang nangyari, yung shockwave na yun is nag-create ng instability sa atmosphere natin. So, nagkaroon ng mga instant na bagyo, instant na tsunami, instant na pagsabog ng volcano, lahat na. Kasi nga, nagalaw ng instability. Nagkaroon ng instability. So, the tendency, since sabay-sabay na yung mga bagyo o lahat na mismo earthquake, is typically, masisira o nagsinamatayan na yung mga dinosaurs. Kaya isa yun sa dahilan bakit na namatay yung dinosaur. Second lang yun ha, sa Great Dying. Yung Great Dying, ito talaga yung sa convection current. Okay po? Sana at least, ito yung mga dapat yung tandaan kasi ito yung mga, I know, boring aralin, pero ang fascinating niya talaga kung gusto nyong aralin pa. Okay? So, kung curious kayo sa story ko lagi, pwede nyo pa akong tanungin by next meeting natin. Next meeting. Kung gusto nyo pang malaman yung history about that. Next, we have the conduction. Okay, review tayo ha. Si radiation, nagtatravel siya with the form of wave. Tama? Electromagnetic wave. Si convection, nagtatravel siya mostly in the liquid form and the gas. Tama? Si conduction naman yung tatandaan nyo, nagtatransferring heat with the form of solid. Ayan. Solid po yung way of transferring of heat sa conduction. Conduct, kailangan ng medium or transfer of energy in the form of heat to a substance called medium. Pag medium, kailangan solid. The transfer in the thermal energy by the collision of microscopic particles moves of the electrons within the body. Microscopic particles in the heat conduction can be molecules, atom, and the electrons. Okay. So, si conduction, paano nagta-transfer ng heat? Yung keyword lang dito, nagkakaroon ng medium. Paano? Mag-example tayo. Sound. Nagpatunog ka ng sound. Example, ito na lang pala. May libro ako dito. Pag pinalo ko yung libro, ayan, nagta-travel mismo in the form of wave. Paano? Kasi nga, this one is a medium. It could be considered as a solid. Pag solid, nagkakaroon ng transfer of heat mismo. Just like the, another example, yung mga, the sound wave. Si sound wave, basically, mas mabilis siya mag-travel sa solid. Sa solid siya pinakamabilis because of the component of solid. Kasi pag solid, yung mga atom dyan is, tawag dito, dikit-dikit, compact with each other. Pag compact kasi, ibig sabihin nun, nagkakaroon ng ripple effect or pagbabanggaan ng mga atom and kumbaga pasapasahan ng information with the other atom para mag-travel mismo. Parang ganun yung concept ni conduction. Ito yung dapat yung tandaan, ha. Conduction, kailangan ng medium. And another example pala sa conduction is your electricity. Yes po. Ginagamit tayo ng conductor. Yung sa loob ng kuryente, the copper one, that is the wire that is considered as a conductor kasi nga, dyan nagta-travel yung electricity mismo. Ang purpose lang ni insulator or yung pang-cover mismo sa mga kuryente nyo is just because para ma-lessen kung gaano kalakas gaano kalakas yung heat na tinatransfer mismo na kuryente. Kung gusto mo mababa yung voltage na nire-release na kuryente, dapat makapal, sobrang kapal ng insulator na ginagamit mo. Pero kung gusto mo na abundant or mataas yung voltage na nire-release ng kuryente, kailangan manipis lang. Kung baga, may mga dapat kayong tandaan dyan. So, okay na po. Ayan. Even pag hawak nyo ng pan, pag nagluluto kayo, ayan. So, ito sabi ko, arrangement of the atom. Itong mga atom na to, mabilis kasi mag-travel yung heat pag yung atom is compact with each other. So, nagpainit ka dito ng itlog, try to imagine this one is itlog na lang siya. Pag binainit mo na yan, basically dito, pag hinawakan mo to, dito sa may hawakan, nakakaramdam ka ng init, tama ba? That is the form of conduction. Pero ha, pag yung init naman na nare-release dito ng water, kasi may tubig dito, nagta-travel yung init in the form of convection. Dito naman yung, kung baga yung vapor, yung kulo ng tubig, nagta-travel siya sa atmosphere, sa gas, convection. Pero pag hinawakan mo siya, sa hawakan, conduction, kasi nga may medium, may nahawakan. Pero pag sa taas lang, pag sinek mo lang, nasa atmosphere, conduction. Ano po? Convection. Again, try natin dito, pag sa hawakan, conduction, pag nasa taas yung init na re-release, dito is through convection. Paano naman si radiation? Yung init, ito po, yung init na re-release ng apoy, is tinatawag nating radiation din. Yes po, radiation din siya. Sa isang picture pa lang, madami tayong example. So, okay na tayo dito. So, next we have, ayan. So, paano palang umiinit sa troposphere? Si troposphere, sabi nga natin, ito yung sublayer ni atmosphere kung saan, dito yung pinakamainit na region, dito tayo nakatira. Radiation, conduct, convect, work together to heat transfer. For radiation coming from the sun, ay nasabi ko na kanina, convection, ito yung sa warm sa air, kasi nga sabi ko nga liquid, and gases. For conduction, ground warms air, heats the lower atmosphere, and molecules touch and the other transfer. Yung keyword, touch, kasi nga may mga medium tayo. Okay po? So we have also the biochemical cycles. So, dito, connected pa rin siya dito sa concept natin sa biosphere kasi nga, nasa ground na tayo. Naaral natin yung mga cycles na na-encounter natin. So, we have the biochemical cycle. The heat system contains several great cycles in which key materials transport through convection the ways in which an element or compound such as water moves between its various living and non-living forms and location in biological is called biochemical cycle. Biochemical cycles important to living organism. It includes water, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur cycle. Ito how these elements travel from one organism to another. Kasi itong mga water, obviously, kailangan natin tubig sa katawan. Carbon, kailangan natin sa katawan. Nitrogen, itong mga element na to, ito yung mga building blocks na kailangan ng isang organism. Kagaya nating mga tao, lahat ng may buhay, kailangan may mga element na ganito. The key materials that cycles through the major biochemical cycles are carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and sulfur. Okay, isa-isahin natin mismo. Nitrogen cycle. Sabi natin kanina, kung natatandaan nyo man, that si nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen, again, sabi natin, si element nitrogen, as you could remember in our discussion about the atmosphere, that element nitrogen is the most abundant element in our atmosphere. And second, we have the element oxygen. And later, matatop din natin si oxygen. Si nitrogen cycle is a biochemical process through which nitrogen is converted into many forms. The consecutively passing forms of the atmosphere to the soil to organisms back into the atmosphere. It involves several processes such as nitrogen fixation, nitrification, denitrification, decays, and putrefaction. So, dito, let's focus this one. Si nitrogen cycle, meron siyang mga sub-processes. Sabi natin, nitrogen fixation, nitrification, denitrification, decay, and purification. Isa-isahin natin yan para mabilis yung tandaan. Let's start with the nitrogen in our atmosphere. Saan makikita? Saan nanggagaling si nitrogen? Sa atmosphere natin. Paano natin na-obtain or nakukuha si nitrogen? Which is needed din sa lahat ng mga may life, kagaya nating mga tao. Most of the time, unahin muna natin si nitrogen fixation. Ayan. Kita niyo yan? Nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation or finifix mismo coming from the atmosphere with the other organisms, especially with the plant. Paano po, sir? Sa nitrogen fixation kasi is that si nitrogen is hindi natin directly nagagamit kasi nga inorganic or hindi siya maganda sa katawan natin. Hindi natin siya ma-obtain. Hindi siya usable form mismo. Kaya, kailangan natin i-convert into usable form with the help of another organism such as plants. Example, munggo. Yung munggo, ayan, yung munggo na yan typically may ugat. Tama, syempre may buhay nga may ugat. And sa ugat na yan, with the soil, ayan sa picture dito tayo mag-focus sa plants, may ugat. So pag may ugat na yan, meron may mga bacterias dyan. With the help of bacterias, or example, rhizobium. Rhizobium is a bacteria na makikita sa soil, wherein kino-convert niya, ang ginagawa ni bacteria is, ina-absorb, pumupunta siya sa node mismo ng ugat, and from that, coming from the nitrogen in the atmosphere, kino-convert niya into usable form. Yan yung process tinatawag nating nitrogen fixation. Kung baga, yung coming from the atmosphere, ginagamit niya mismo. So, paano? Ano yung connect niya mismo? So, nasa katawan na mismo ni plant, yung nitrogen na nakuha niya sa oxygen. Tapos na tayo dun sa nitrogen fixation with the help of bacteria such as rhizobium to convert it. Next, papasok tayo with the next process, which is the nitrification. Nitrify. So, dito, anong gagawin natin sa plants? Tama? Typically, saan tayo kumukuha ng plants? Ng foods? Most of the time, sa plants. Tama ba? So, typically, ang kinonvert ni nitrogen, ni plants na nitrogen, pag kinain natin yon, ang mangyayari, matatransfer yon sa katawan natin. Yung tinatawag nating nitrification. Ayan. Hindi pala sunod-sunod to. Nitrification or obtaining of energy from the other sources. Kung baga, in the form of fruits, kinain natin yung prutas mismo na may nitrogen, or in the form of amino acid na kailangan natin sa katawan. So, the tendency is that hindi lang tayo yung kumakain ng nitrogen, ng mga fruits. May mga animals din, yung mga kalabaw, kumakain din sila ng plants, so nag-o-obtain din sila mismo. So, kaya nga, it's a cycle. So, yung tanong dito is that there are times sa cycle ng tao, sa isang organism, darating din sila sa point na, tawag dito, mamamatay, tatanda, mamamatay. Wherein, babalik na naman siya with the help of other bacteria sa soil ulit. Ang mangyayari, magdi-decompose or, tawag dito, mabubulok. And then, babalik na naman sa soil yung mga nitrogen na na-obtain, na na-convert natin. Kaya nga cycle, paulit-ulit lang. Coming from the atmosphere, gagawin ng plants, i-convert niya, i-consume natin mismo. Tapos gagamitin, paulit-ulit lang yan, yung cycle na yan. Ayan. So, decomposer, ammonification, ammonia NH3, ayan lang cycle na dapat yung tandaan. Yung pina-highlight ko lang sa inyo yung dapat yung tandaan, yung deep explanation niyan. Kung gusto nyong malaman pa, panoorin nyo na lang sa YouTube. Actually, kaya ko naman siya i-discuss, pero medyo malalim na siya, first time na. Next, we have the carbon cycle. So, si carbon is importante. Bakit po? Lahat ng may buhay is may carbon. Lahat ng may buhay may carbon. As typically, pag may carbon kasi, you are considered as organic. Lahat tayong mga tao, lahat ng kinakain natin most of the time is pag pumasok na sa katawan is nagiging organic na siya, which is useful in our body. Carbon stored in the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide, ayan, which is absorbed by plants and converted to carbohydrates by the process of photosynthesis. So, ayan, si photosynthesis, ibang process naman yan. Diba, tayong mga tao, yung nire-release natin na gas is the carbon dioxide, tama? Si carbon dioxide, then, ito yung raw materials, yung kailangan ni plants para makapag-undergo siya ng photosynthesis along with the water, carbon dioxide nga, and the sun. Yun yung tatlong raw materials para makapag-undergo ng photosynthesis. Or photosynthesis o yung paggawa ng sariling pagkain ng plants. Yung paggawa ng sariling plants, yung prutas na ginagawa niya, typically kinakain natin. So, ibig sabihin, paulit-ulit din. Kino-obtain natin, kino-convert lang siya into another forms. The cycle then follow the chain, which carbohydrates being consumed by herbivores, and the carnivores are metabolized during the process of respiration. So, typically, yung plants natin, or example, si plants. Si plants kasi, di ba sabi natin, kumukuha siya ng carbon dioxide, tama? Carbon dioxide. Pero, ito yung dapat yung tandaan, even though raw materials niya si carbon dioxide, paggabi, hindi na nag-undergo masyado ng photosynthesis si sun, or kahit mayroon tayong tinatawag na independent cycle. Most of the time kasi, paggabi, nagre-release ng carbon dioxide yung si plants para hindi ma-stress, kasi pag tuloy-tuloy yung information niya ng foods with the use of carbon dioxide, baka kulangin ng tubig. And that time, hindi pa enough yung sunlight mismo. So, pag umaga na ulit, babalik na naman sa cycle, sa normal na cycle. So, dapat tandaan nyo dyan. Carbon dioxide returns to atmosphere in animal cycle where an organism waste, dead organism decay, vegetation, and animals are thus important. Store carbon dioxide, although may be rapidly ruptured, the atmosphere, vegetation, burn, soil are important to reserve of the carbon cycle. So, okay. Dito tayo mag-focus sa illustration. Actually, we have the oxygen and carbon dioxide cycle. Dito, and the carbon cycle is connected to each other. Lahat ng cycle actually connected naman talaga. Pero dito, we're talking about the carbon dioxide and the oxygen cycle. So, ayan. Unahin natin, itong sinasabi ko sa inyo, si plants, kailangan niya ng carbon dioxide na nire-release natin ng mga plants. Ng mga tao, mga animals, other animals, mga kalabaw, even yung mga CO2 na release ng mga pabrika, yung mga init, typically, wherein ginagamit ni plants para makapagawa ng sariling foods. Sabi natin, ano yung mga materials ng nakapag-undergo ng photosynthesis o yung paggawa ng sariling pagkain yung isang plants? Kailangan niya ng sunlight, the carbon dioxide sa atmosphere, at yung tubig. So, once na nag-undergo na ng photosynthesis, yung plants na to nagde-decompose. So, babalik siya sa soil. And yung plants, kaya siyang serve as food sa mga tao and sa animals. Kaya cycle siya pa ulit-ulit lang. Yun lang dapat yung tandaan na dito. Next, we have the sulfur cycle. Sulfur is released in the atmosphere during the volcanic eruption in the form of sulfuric gas, dust, and particles, and as a result of the weathering rocks. The ocean also plays an important role in sulfur cycle as marine phytoplanktons produce dimethyl sulfides. Some of the enters in the atmosphere and converted into sulfur dioxide and sulfate aerosol. These compounds are ultimately converted into sulfuric acid and are decomposed into Earth's surface and precipitation. In terrestrial ecosystem, bacteria break down the sulfurous compound and release the sulfur to the atmosphere again, mainly form of hydrogen sulfide. Of course, biochemical cycles has been substantially modified in human activities. In fact, of the enormous implication of understanding of management of environmental issues. So, ito naman po yung sa sulfur cycle. Again, si sulfur, ito din siya sa mga essential element na needed ng isang organism. Pero, even though less or konti lang yung need nito sa katawan natin, is usable naman siya mismo. Nagko-contribute pa rin siya mismo. So, ito lang dito kasi sulfur cycle is a combination of many elements na din. Dito nakikita nyo to, precipitation, combination of water cycle. Dito kanina, natatandaan nyo to, dito sa carbon dioxide. Sabi nga dito kanina, sabi natin, sulfur cycle, of course, or possible source of sulfur is mostly in eruption of volcanoes. Kaya, pag nagpumutok yung mga volcanoes, it is really dangerous to na lumapit kayo talaga dun sa sobrang rich sa sulfur. Hindi ko sinasabi na negative sa sulfur. Sinasabi ko lang, due to extreme amount of sulfur, the tendency is that harmful sa katawan natin. Pero pag sakto lang yung amount, helpful sa body natin. Kaya nga may mga tinitinda ng mga Dr. Wong sulfur soup. Ayan. Siguro yung mga pampatuyo sa tagyawat. Ayan, pampatuyo sa tagyawat. Si sulfur. Kasi nga, tama yun. Tama yung sinasabi, pinapromote ni Dr. Wong na sabon. Kasi nga, it's a good antibacterial. Pinapatuyo niya mismo yung tagyawat. Pero, ang negative lang doon is that, pag matuloy-tuloy na paggamit yung sulfur, siguro kung sinasabi na hiyang daw, pero kung tuloy-tuloy yung paggamit ng sulfur, hindi siya maganda. Kaya, pag medyo nag-dry na yung tagyawat nyo, kailangan nyo din siya, tawag dito, tigilan. Bumalik kayo sa organic, mga natural na mga sabon. Sabon lang yung gamitin nyo. Ayun, chinika ko na naman yung sulfur sa skincare. Anyways, ayan. Next, we have also the phosphorus cycle. The phosphorus cycle is a biochemical cycle that describes the transformation and translocation of phosphorus to soil, water, and living and dead organic materials. The phosphorus cycle is the process by which phosphorus moves through the lithosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, Phosphorus is essential in plants' animal growth as well as the health of the microbes, exhibiting soil but gradually depleted in the soil over time. Okay, so dito, si phosphorus cycle is konti lang din yung composition niya sa body natin. Sa katawan natin kasi tayong tao, meron tayong mga major components na kailangan natin ng carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acid. So, sa apat na sinabi ko na mga major components na kailangan natin, may mga elements na bumubuo. Si carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Si phosphorus, isa siya sa apat na lima. Carbon, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Sa lima na sinasabi ko, pang 5 siya. Mismo, especially, makikita siya sa nitrogen. So, ano yung connect niya mismo? So, phosphorus kasi, ito medyo malalim na to. Si nucleic acid, or basically our DNA, ay isang types ng nucleic acid, or the DNA, binubuo siya ni nucleotides. And yung bumubuo sa nucleotides is may composition ni phosphorus. So, ganun yung composition niya mismo sa DNA natin. So, tayo kasi basically, so, even the plants, may DNA din sila. So, mga, ganun siya ka-affected. Ayan ang dapat tandaan nyo sa inyo, yung mababaw lang. May kumocompose kasi siya sa isang tao, specifically sa DNA natin. Ayan lang tatandaan nyo. What are the 4 steps of the phosphorus cycle? The weathering. Ayan. So, weathering. Dito pag sinabi nating weathering, we are talking about the breaking of rocks. So, ayan. Pa-overview na ng next topic natin. Next topic natin kasi is about rock. Pag yung rock kasi nag-undergo ng weathering or some changes mismo, it could break to form another form of rocks. So, ayan. Overview pa lang yan. Next, we have absorption of plants. So, next, we are absorbed by animals, the returns of environment through the decomposition cycle. Then siya na paulit-ulit. Ayan. So, done. We are done for our discussion. So, we have the activities. So, yung activity na to is, ay, nakita niyo na. Carefully read the items, choose the letter of the correct answer. Sige, drill tayo. Which of the following describe as the habitable Earth? A, has a weak magnetic field. B, right distance from the sun. C, dominant presence of solid ice. D, presence of oxygen in the hydrosphere. So, the answer is presence of oxygen, in the hydrosphere. So, sabi nga natin, habitable siya kasi nga, so yung Earth natin because of the abundance of oxygen. Kasi nga, si oxygen, yung sabi natin, the most abundant element sa isang organism, living organism. Lahat ng may buhay, yung pinaka-abundant most of the time is oxygen. Next, which of the following is not one of the reason why the hydrosphere is important? Ang yung tanong, keyword, not. Ibig sabihin, yung hahanapin natin yung negative statement. Bakit? It sustains various life form. So, check naman. Tama ba? Positive. It helps regulation the atmosphere. Tama po. Wait lang. Hydrosphere. So, tama. Medyo connected ka dito sa hydrosphere. Plays important role in ecosystem. Tama. Plays a major role in movement of tectonic plates. What do you think is the answer? The answer for me, the atmosphere would be, for number 2, would be wait, na-skip. Mali yung numbering. So, okay. Dito analyze natin. Which of the following is not a correct description of... Which of the following is not one of the reason why hydrosphere is important? Not. So, ibig sabihin, maghanap tayo ng negative. It sustains various life form. Tama. Hydrosphere, kasi nga, may buhay. Regulates the atmosphere. Tama? Kasi nga sabi natin may atmosphere sa water cycle, 'di ba may mga water din droplets sa atmosphere. So tama. It plays important role in ecosystem. general siya, it plays a major role in movement of tectonic plates. So, dito, kung baga, tama siya lahat most of the time kasi nga, connected naman siya sa movement of plates. Pero, since hydro, it deals about the movement of water, yung pinaka-less lang dito is letter D. Should the following is not the correct description of oxygen gas or O2? The answer is taken in the plants by photosynthesis. Next, which subsystem helps regulates the temperature of the earth so we do not experience too much hotness or coldness? Saan dyan yung regulates din ng temperature sa ano natin? We have the hydrosphere, obviously the water, hydrosphere. Next, in which subsystems or gas such as oxygen gas, water vapor, and nitrogen gas found? Saan ba? We have the atmosphere. Ayan. Next, why is the ozone layer important in sustaining life on Earth? Ozone layer, sabi natin saan makikita yung ozone layer as a review? Saan tayo? Troposphere, stratosphere. Ayan, sa stratosphere. The answer is, it shields the Earth's sun's ultraviolet radiation and keeps planet warm. So, ayan, we are done. So, we have the end of our discussion. So, I want to leave this quotation from Albert Einstein, my idol, Albert Einstein, that life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. So, ayan, I hope you learned something for today's discussion class and have an amazing weekend. Goodbye. For listening, everyone. Goodbye po. Annyeong.